Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. Kind of an early bird edition this week. Eli has a game to call later on this morning. So, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And it's April 20th, 2024, right? So, spring is uh, almost here, keeps holding off for a little bit, but it's coming. Um, So I just wanted to also thank all the folks at St. Joe's and Rob and everybody that put the show together for Eli and I to do it on location in St. Joe's last week. It really was a milestone episode for us and had some good feedback. And like I said, we always love to hear comments from you and send us an email at sports with mono and mono at gmail.com. So we have a ton of stuff going on right now. Very busy time in the world of sports. But I just want to do one little quick monologue. And of course, that's sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And I'm seeing, I can't put the pieces together of why we're seeing such a dramatic increase in Tommy John surgery from pitchers. And I don't know what it's attributed to. I heard a couple of theories this week that the players' union is saying that it's because of the pitch clock. Excuse me, which I don't believe one bit. I think back on the old days, the real hard throwers like Bob Gibson and Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan and Ron Guidry. I mean, we didn't even really hear about that. These guys never missed games, and these were hard throwers. So, yes, the majority of pitchers are throwing, 100 miles an hour in the high 90s. So, but they're throwing it maybe more often. I just can't put my finger on what's going on here, and it's happening not just at the major league level. It's happening in the high school level. It's happening in the college level. And it's just becoming more and more prevalent. And I have no idea. I would love people to give me some theories on what they believe is the cause and why we're seeing such an increase in this type of surgery. And the surgery is very advanced now, but you do kind of miss at least a year. But people have successfully come back for it. But I just wonder what it's all about. And like I said, send us a comment or two and let us know what your thoughts are.
There's a lot of theories, but at the end of the day, I think in the MLB world, it has to do with money. I think I have a good feeling it has to do with the money. Now, I know in the whole surgery thing, you don't want to have surgery. Nobody wants to have it. But I think at the end of the day, if they have the surgery, they still got to sit out and you still get to collect the dough while sitting on your couch watching Major League Baseball games. So I think that could also be a possible scenario. I mean, you sit there to just play baseball and you still get paid millions of dollars. I mean, that is my only scenario. I don't know why it's happening. I don't think it has to do with the pitch clock because we still had this even before the pitch clock came into effect. I honestly really don't know, but I have a good feeling somewhere or another, somehow tied to the money aspect of it, and maybe paid sponsorships with hospitals and medical groups. That could be another theory claimed, but I don't know.
Well, I hope it's not like that they're doing surgery that's not needed and whatnot. But it's just something that's very intriguing to me as a topic, that it's just happening more and more. So anyway, so we got a lot of stuff to catch up on, Eli, this week.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to start off with our last week, Scotty Scheffler wins the Masters, and
yes, he did.
In dominating form. It was great to see him. Like I said, he is the number one player in the world, and he's only 26 years old, and he's got 2 green jackets already. But you could see it happening. Like the younger guys on the back nine at Augusta on Sunday afternoon is a whole different golf course, and you got to play at your absolute best, which Scotty Scheffler did, and
he did
that. Congratulations to him for winning the Masters for the second time.
It was a good win for him, and the celebration after was just perfect, and he did everything right during that Masters tournament. Absolutely deserved to win. America was rooting for him. Congrats on the win. That's all I could really say.
That was great. And I have we weren't able to post pictures last week, but I have a couple we'll show later on. from the Masters, and like I said, it's one of my favorite sporting events of all time, and it just never disappoints. It never ever disappoints. So it was great. Congratulations to him, and I got a feeling this isn't going to be the last time he's going to win the Masters. So.
No, absolutely, he's not. He's going to be winning a lot more. Now, let's get to one comment real quick from Andrew. He says, "Good morning." Good morning to you, and we appreciate you joining the show last week. It was a pleasure to meet you and
yes,
see you.
It was, Andrew. Thank you very much.
I gotta ask though, the championship for the golf ceremony was pretty nice. They give a green jacket. It's a prestigious ceremony. Which championship ceremony is the greatest to watch and see and to witness?
Like, I'm gonna say the Stanley Cup playoffs.
You think so?
Yeah.
And where would
these guys fought, and they've already played 82 games. To win the Stanley Cup, you got to win another 16 games. So I don't know. I mean, you can make a case for the Super Bowl and whatnot, but what it takes to get to that Stanley Cup trophy is what I think makes it so special.
And I think absolutely with the Stanley Cup, and I would say, the Masters definitely ranks in the top 5 for greatest trophy presentations and ceremonies to witness. Stanley Cup for sure, because it's a trophy that everybody shares. It's not one, you keep it, you'll get a new one next year. Right. It's a prestige trophy. But yeah, absolutely though. That's a good.
You did have your picture taken with Lord Stanley's cup last.
Yes, I did have a picture with Lord Stanley.
Very good. Very good. All right, so let's just kind of give a little brief overview of the playoffs, right? The playoffs are set. They begin today, actually, with the Rangers hosting Washington, who somehow managed to back into the playoffs, right? But you got some real good series. I think one of the more intriguing series to start off the playoffs, because I think the Rangers can handle the Washington Capitals.
Nope. No, they can't.
No, okay.
They won the President's. Listen, I don't care if the Capitals came in late with the wild card spot. That does not give me anything. We saw this with the Devils last year. They came at the wild card spot pretty much. And what did they do? They won it all pretty much. I mean, they got it to the second round. They didn't beat Carolina because Carolina's Carolina. I'll take Capitals in that one. Absolutely. I have my bracket behind me on the floor here for the bracket challenge I did here. And I absolutely picking the Dallas. I'm absolutely picking the Washington Capitals to beat the New York Rangers because they're the President's Trophy winner, and I have no faith in whatsoever in the New York Rangers now that they won the Stanley Cup. And as a Devils fan, you cannot root for the Rangers. That's the number one requirement.
Well, I respectfully disagree, but because I don't believe in curses, I think this is a different Rangers team.
I don't think so.
Jim, with a different mentality, and
that's what we said last year about Boston. And what do we say? What happened with Boston? Nope.
Well, that's the series. Yeah.
The Boston has a pretty good schedule to start off. I mean, the playoffs. They have Toronto, which is tough, but not that extreme.
Yes, it is.
You go on and you play one of the 2 Florida teams, either the Panthers or the Lightning. And then from there, you got a decent matchup. I've had, honestly, this year, looking at the west side of the bracket and the east side of the bracket, and knowing that Boston's no longer the President's Trophy winner, they have the best potential to win it all. And that is my bracket pick to win the Stanley Cup. Because I have a good feeling in Boston this year.
Yeah, this is one of the more intriguing series because I think you have a different you have a different vibe this year with Toronto. I know Toronto is always notoriously, they haven't won a cup in 1,000 years, but you got Austin Matthews, who's having a great season, scored 69 goals. And just a quick note, there were 2 100. We brought up Connor McDavid last week, but also Kucherov got 100 assists this year.
Yes.
And just to put it into perspective, there's only 4 players that have ever done that. And one of them was Wayne Gretzky, who did it 11
times. Wayne Gretzky is Wayne Gretzky. Nobody could beat him. To do it 11 times.
Well, we're going to have, we'll give updates week after week because the Stanley Cup playoffs is pretty much almost a month long.
Pretty much.
I'm very excited about that. And then now let's talk about the NBA
just a couple
playoffs.
of things real quick before we move off NHL real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Games today start on TBS. Islanders, Carolina at 5 p.m., 8 o'clock, Leafs versus Bruins, both on TBS. Tomorrow you'll have games all on ESPN and ESPN2. Just want to clarify that real quick. Game 1 finishes on Monday on ESPN2 and ESPN after the 9 o'clock hour of the Game 2 games. Other notes in the NHL before we move off. Bruins play-by-play announcer Jack Edwards announces his retirement, and the Coyotes' move to Utah is now official, as talks along with meetings and name changes will begin this upcoming week. The last note I want to bring up in the NHL real quick. The NHL Discover Winter Classic will be played on December 31st, 2024, no longer New Year's Day. And the whole reason why is because college football plays New Year's Day. Last year, the viewership was completely down and a bust. So this year they said, let's move it to New Year's Eve where nothing's happening. So the NHL will be playing the Winter Classic on New Year's Eve, 5 o'clock, TNT, Wrigley Field, Chicago versus St. Louis. So just want to bring that up that you're going to be having a day earlier than claim, and that's because of college football taking over New Year's Day.
Good stuff. Yep. Good stuff. So Eli, you're our resident NBA expert. Give us your preview of the playoffs, right? The Knicks got you know what? They don't have an easy series with Embiid.
No, they don't.
So,
they don't have an easy series. However, I have them going all the way to the conference championship in my bracket. I believe it or not. So
the Knicks?
Yeah, I do have the Knicks. Yeah, it's a shocker. Okay. But I have a good feeling the Knicks have a good potential in this assessment. And, looking at this bracket, it's a pretty good group of games that we have here. I think my favorite one to watch out for that I have a good feeling will win it all is going to be Boston. I don't know what's with me with Boston and all the NHL and NFL and NBA playoffs, but I have a good feeling Boston's going to win it here in the NBA. Just looking at where they stand, they have Miami to start beginning tomorrow on ABC. They have a pretty decent schedule on the road. Looking at the other teams, Orlando's pretty good to watch out for. Phoenix and Timberwolves, that's going to be an epic series to watch out for. And not to mention, of course, the Lakers, Denver, because you have LeBron James and the champions of Denver Nuggets coming into play. I'm also a big fan of the Thunder and New Orleans game. Now, it's a boring matchup that you might think, considering where New Orleans comes into play. However, you got to look at this OKC team and their whole new game, the whole new crew, and we should expect a lot for them. So that's what I'm just thinking. I think a lot of good teams. Boston's my pick, however, to win the NBA championship.
Yeah, I mean, they're very, very strong. Obviously, they're the clear-cut favorites. And when you look at the landscape of the playoffs, you see Oklahoma City gets the number 1 seed in the West, so that can help them from a home court advantage. And then, the Knicks being the number 2 seed, I think that helps them in the early round. I think they can ultimately beat the Sixers, but this isn't going to be easy. It's going to go at least 6 games, possibly 7. So,
all right.
Let's see what other things that we wanted to bring up.
In the NBA, I want to bring up one note real quick. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo will play for Team USA in the basketball portion of the Olympics this upcoming summer in Paris.
Yeah, so we're everyone's going, this is the dream team too kind of thing, right? I mean,
if they don't win the gold, we're going to have a problem because you got every good player you could possibly think of when you think of the NBA playing in the Olympics. So if they don't play, if they don't win gold, we're going to have an issue. And they won gold last time they were in the Olympics, by the way.
But there is one other note I wanted to bring up because we saw this week that, and we've talked about this extensively. Jonte Porter gets banned for life.
Yes.
For betting. And not only was he betting, I mean, this is clear evidence. He was betting and giving the advice to these people. And, there's no tolerance for this. It's something It's something I'm not surprised by because I loathe the fact that these professional leagues are embedded and all you hear on commercials is DraftKings, BetMGM, FanDuel. It just doesn't stop. And you're going to get people that are going to go and do things that they're not supposed to do. So I don't think this is going to be the last time we see it.
Absolutely.
And it's just a black mark on the NBA for now, but it's going to happen in some other league as well.
Absolutely. There is no question. It's a big shocker to just see that happen. It's not
Hmm.
the best way we want to see him go. However, he is at fault, and unfortunately, the right punishment was made.
Yep, you got it. So listen, that all this stuff starts today. It's going to
Yes, all
be
of it today. ESPN and ABC for NBA, TBS for the NHL. More games happening tomorrow into Monday. We have a good upcoming few weeks, Jim, of playoff hockey and playoff basketball. I cannot wait.
there we do. And we'll listen, we'll talk. We're only in the infant stages, but remember, Eli, like 2 weeks ago, we talked the Mets got off to a horrible start. So the New York sports fan is saying the Mets are the worst team in the league, blah, blah, blah. Now they're 9-2 in their last 11 games. I
Yeah.
keep telling people it's early in the season. You know, the Yankees had a big win last night, and they're doing it without Aaron Judge really starting to heat up. But you know that's going to happen. He's going to finish hitting 280.
Yep.
He's going to have 45 home runs, and he's going to drive in 110 runs. So,
You see, with baseball, I feel like it's a repeat story every year. And I'll start with the Yankees, for example. The Yankees, they start off to an excellent hot start. Something happens. Then they miss the playoffs. Everybody hates the Yankees. Fire Aaron Boone. Fire this, fire that, do this, do that. Same thing with the Mets. The Mets start off bad. They do good all of a sudden. They're a playoff team. Then down goes the roller coaster back to the landing spot. No playoff run for them. It's just a continuous story. And at the
yeah,
same time, with the Mets story, you kind of feel bad for them because everybody, including myself, was hating on them, saying, yeah, you're never going to win another game. Look at the horrible start you had to the season. Now look at them. They're currently at a perfect 11-8 record, right down in the middle of the series in the standings level. I
yeah,
know it's still early, but that's a pretty good start. And what I have to keep in mind, I always have to remember, MLB is 160 something games of a season. It is not like hockey and NBA, where even these little games, then the beginning of the season count. Right now, it doesn't really matter. It just
yeah.
getting back into the flow of baseball. And then summer's when you begin to step it up a notch. That's how I view it.
Yeah, and listen, when you look at early season, let's just even go back to last year, right? The
Right.
Pittsburgh Pirates started off as the best team in the league. They had the early record, and you just know based on if you know a little bit about sports, you can look up and down the lineup. Things like that don't continue. And
No.
they started off strong, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Pirates be the surprise team." Actually, gave the manager an extension, and then they went on this playing normal Pittsburgh Pirate baseball, so they weren't relevant in the scheme of things. And ultimately, the Texas Rangers of all teams wins the World Series. So
Absolutely.
162 games. And I will say this though, what I really like this Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball,
Yes, I
where
agree.
all
I agree
players
with
and
that.
personnel, I mean, broke the color barrier in 1947. He was an MVP in 1949, and he was a hell of a baseball player.
And
Not only what he did from a social perspective, both joining the Dodgers and the abuse that he endured, but he became a proponent for civil rights for the rest of his life. And that's a day where everybody wears number 42, and something that's a good thing, good recommend, a good representation of Major League Baseball and honoring somebody like Jackie Robinson.
And I
Kudos.
appreciate what the MLB does with that special day that they honor Jackie Robinson. And I think that makes the MLB unique. Other sports groups either don't have a specific day or they don't have or they ban it, like the NHL does with like all these other special things that they offer and do, like with the jerseys and everything, which is a whole
Yeah,
different
yeah,
argument for a different
yeah.
day. But I appreciate though what the MLB does, and I think that's what makes the MLB stand out. Now I feel like if they were to get rid of this event, MLB would not be at its peak as we see, because you now see that it's all really, you don't like this, you don't do that, you don't do this. So to represent him in a special way is extraordinary, and I appreciate the MLB for doing that.
Oh, this will be a forever day. They will
Absolutely.
never dismiss it. They will never end it, and rightfully so. So, um, okay, Eli, this is I know what week it is. We're less than a week away from the NFL draft.
Yes, it
First,
is.
I want to also let our fans know that you and Jack will be doing a 4-hour NFL draft preview.
Yes.
So give you a
the
plug
12th,
there for the 12th Horseshoe.
12th Horseshoe Podcast, NFL Draft Watch Party Special, 7:45 p.m. on Surge Sports YouTube. Jim is going to be a guest on our show, as well as many other guests we'll be having along the hours. Counting down, we'll be watching every pick. We'll be discussing about it. We'll have guests. We'll have fun. It's going to be a fun night. It's our first ever time doing this. Cannot wait. And I appreciate all of you for coming on to watch and support us. And, of course, Jim, for being a guest on this upcoming show.
I would more than happily be a guest to discuss this. So let's just look at the landscape. And you know, we could sit here all day and debate, right? So
Right.
I kind of came up with my list of I think who are like the top 10 players, you know, that, and we know what's going on, right? We know that Caleb Williams is going to Chicago with the first pick.
There's no question.
No question about that. But
And I
then
can tell you the top three already, no question.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not 100% sure after Williams. Is it going to be Daniels? Is it going to be May? Is it going to be McCarthy? You know, these are all players that certainly will be number one draft picks. But you know, what team? When you go down the list, right? Washington has the second pick, and the Patriots have the third pick, and they both need quarterback. So, you know, I think it will be either May or Daniels. I'm not sure who's going to go first and who's going to go next.
Daniels May, and Arizona. I think they'll pick up a quarterback. Chargers get Marvin Harrison Jr.
I believe that too. I do, because even though I don't believe that the Cardinals and Kyler Murray is the right quarterback for that team,
I think your top three quarterbacks will be gone already in the list, and not enough to pick up another good guy. You could wait off in the draft for another guy, and it sometimes worked out. Look at the Tom Brady situation. I always go to that situation. Last pick of the draft. Look at the success he had. So by going number one in the first round doesn't guarantee you're going to have a fantastic start to the season. So if I were Arizona, pick a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. if it's still out there and available. Take a quarterback, maybe if you really desperately need one, if that is the mindset you're going, or think about where else you need to pick up somebody. But Marvin Harrison Jr. I think is going to be either he's going to the West Coast, in my opinion. He's either going to Arizona or Los Angeles. That's what the bottom line is.
Yeah, I'm not so sure yet. I mean, so let me just give you kind of what I think are the top players that could go, and it depends on need, obviously. I think the Cardinals, you know, we talked about Williams, May, Daniels, and Marvin Harrison, but you also have Malik Neighbors, who is stock has been progressively rising, wide receiver from LSU. When you look about, you know, from a receiver perspective, you have Ndunze from Washington. So there's a lot of Keon Johnson from Florida State. So you have a lot of potential first round picks in the wide receiver group. And then there's also, you know, when you look at edge rushers, maybe the number one edge rusher on the board right now would be Dallas Turner from Alabama.
Yes, and indeed.
Offensive tackles. Now these are also, you know, a need for potentially the Giants and the Falcons and stuff like that. So you have Fashanu from Penn State, you have Joe Wall from Notre Dame, and you have Talreese Fuaga from Oregon. So you have those are my top three offensive linemen. Where they're going to fall, and yes, not to, you know. And look, and obviously, I think the best tight end in the draft is Brock Bowers. And I'm not a Jets fan, so I hope they don't get him, because I think this guy is going to be one of the best tight ends in NFL history when his career is said and done.
Yeah.
So we have that breadth of
top really good guys.
Excuse me. Yes. And so let's go down the list. So we got the Bears, Washington, Patriots, like we said, Cardinals, and now the Chargers. So the Chargers also obviously not in the market right now for a quarterback. They've invested in Justin Herbert. So that's when Harbaugh may take a offensive lineman like Joe Alt or somebody like that to protect him more.
Would it, if
So,
now this is a bold take. Now, if let's just say the top 4 picks don't take Marvin Harrison Jr., do you think the Chargers would take him, considering the level of talent he's had in Ohio State? What do you think? Would you think he'd take him?
Well, if you look at it, the need who'd they lose? They lost Keenan Allen and who was it? Not Mike Williams.
Eichel? No,
they lost another wide receiver.
Eichel.
But anyway, so I think we're going to see the Chargers take an offensive lineman, unless they just if the Cardinals don't pick Marvin Harrison, which would be a mistake. Then maybe yes, the Chargers' philosophy. So Eli, that's what we talk about. We know who the draft order is. We're not sure, but that it's going to be set in stone next Thursday because there could be teams like the Vikings who are in a market for a quarterback.
Absolutely,
could make some absolute trade to move up in the draft to get a quarterback. Outside of the 3 guys we mentioned, there's also McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix. So it's all a matter of what the need is for the team, and we're seeing at least 4 teams, maybe 5 in the top 10 that need a quarterback, and that's
absolutely. It's scary to say, but yeah. But the good news is, Jim, though, the draft market, though, is so high and so lengthy so that it is so perfect to pick up and get rid of so many quarterbacks and add in new ones. So that is, I think that makes this draft extra special when it comes to the quarterback market.
Yeah. And we also know that obviously in Denver with Sean Payton, he's got to get himself a quarterback. So I think we know who the first 3 are. Let's see who the next 3 are, right?
Yeah, that is the question to ask. We could say so many predictions, but it all comes down to who is taking out first, what are they looking for, and how is this going to benefit my new team?
Yeah.
If you're the general manager and in charge.
I think the most intriguing team, and not just because we're Giant fans here, or you're a Seahawk fan. I think you're down like the 13th pick or whatever.
Yeah, 16th.
Yeah.
16 pick.
But when you look at the Giants, this is going to be a monumental pick for Joe Shane, and because we know that they paid Daniel Jones, so we know he's going to be the starting quarterback when he comes back. But the Giants have a history of picking a lot of Michigan players. You go back to Jumbo Ellie and Jared Bunch, Amani Toomer, these guys. But this is a pick. If you look at it, when you base it on need, I think we have to, excuse me, go back to how much longer are they going to put up with Daniel Jones? And I was all in on him, so I'm not dodging that bullet. I'm taking that. But they also need a wide receiver, and they also need offensive linemen. So, come up with what are they, the 5th or the 6th pick?
5th, right.
That's the decision. I'm not going to be surprised if it's Joe Alt from Notre Dame. I'm not going to be surprised if it's J.J. McCarthy, who, by the way, when we think about it, now before all of these mock drafts and all the draft experts say, that J.J. McCarthy is now from a potential 2nd round pick to now one of the top 10 players that may get selected. I don't know what that's based on. I don't take a lot of credence in the combines because really all you're doing is dropping back and throwing it to, guys without any pads, without any pressure, that kind of thing. So, but I'm not going to be surprised if they take McCarthy because they do need to figure it out what the long-term solution is. The question is he the right guy?
That is the absolute good question. And we won't know till draft day. We could say so many predictions. And yeah.
And we will certainly be talking more and more. Like I said, I'm looking forward to being on Eli's show.
And we cannot wait to have you.
Well, let me ask you this. So you're Seahawks. What is the need for the Seahawks? And what do you think the Seahawks are going to do with the?
I honestly, we really need to pick up somebody, I think, at the defensive side. Maybe. That is my bold take. If not an offensive lineman, that is who I think the Seahawks could potentially take. Because when you
Hmm.
look at the wide receivers, you're good with that. Running backs, you're okay. The quarterback, that's a different argument. You could say you need a quarterback, but they're all going to be gone by the time 16th comes. So they're going to stick with Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Not Drew Lock, he's gone. Sorry, Geno Smith. But
Yep.
I honestly don't know. I have a good feeling, though, they're going to go for an offensive tackle or someone in the defensive side, which I think would be definitely crucial to the team's health and success.
Yeah. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. Another intriguing thing is, what are the Falcons doing, right?
Right.
They decided to pass on Bill Belichick, so they bring in, I think, Raheem Morris,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And their offense, if you look at that, they're in pretty good shape. So they may be a defensive team. They got Pitts, they got Bijan Robinson, so they have a lot of weapons on offense. So there's maybe the first defensive pick, I think, on the board. It could either be from the Falcons or the Titans. Those are the, I don't see a need for them from a quarterback perspective. So keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. We will watch out for sure.
And again, Eli's show is on Thursday at 7:45, and
Yep.
I know him and Jack, who was on our show last week. Nice
Yes,
young
he
man.
was.
Glad he could have joined us. So I'm happy to reciprocate and give my 2 cents on the 12th Horseshoe Podcast on Thursday night.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you very much. And before we go to random points, let's talk WNBA. Can we, real quick?
Please.
I think we need to talk about women's sports real quick because Caitlin Clark goes number 1 to the Indiana Fever, the number one, I think the number 1 woman to watch out for in women's sports, in my opinion, and that is changing the game and the way we see it. The draft picked up 2 million views, 2.5 million views, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And just to give you like a heads up and why this Caitlin Clark is so changing perspective, the New York Liberty, which play in Brooklyn, New York, they have a home game versus the Indiana Fever, which Caitlin Clark is now a part of.
Yep.
And that game's on May 18th, a Saturday. Tickets typically go on for $33. And not only because it's the Liberty's opening day, but Caitlin Clark's there. The full stadium will be used. Women's games usually have half stadium. The full stadium will be used and in effect for the New York Liberty game when they take on Caitlin Clark. And the tickets usually start at $33 a piece. They've jumped up to $102 a piece. And that was on the day of the draft when she got drafted. So that it goes to show you women's sports is popular. And definitely in the future, I want to see Caitlin Clark at the New York Liberty. I want to see it. I want to go to that matchup. 100%.
And you're absolutely right about the whole dynamic that this one person who captivated the nation with her senior year at Iowa, and she's obviously was going to be the number 1 pick. This is very similar. This is like you're seeing a fury in the WNBA like we saw when LeBron James was coming out of high school as one of the most, best prospects to come out, and he's lived up to that. He could go down as one of the top 2 or 3 players of all time. I still think Michael Jordan, in my opinion, holds that prestigious record.
Honor and respect, correct.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think 2 other notes we're going to bring up. She also did a fantastic job when she was on Saturday Night Live. She did a great skit with Michael Che on Weekend Update. It was, by the way, a phenomenal show last week for Saturday Night Live, on top of the Beavis and Butthead scene, which had characters breaking lines and everything, which I thought was hilarious. They did a fantastic job Saturday Night Live last week. And WNBA is paying so far salary of $75,000 for Caitlin Clark. That's her starting estimated price. They got to get better with the women prices. Come on. I don't care if they have less viewership than the men. Equal pay. It is absolutely not fair. And hopefully the WNBA ratings beat the NBA ratings, so more money comes in for these women athletes who deserve 100%.
It all ties to revenue, and
absolutely. I get that.
When you talk about a half-filled stadium for a WNBA game, you can't even possibly expect them to make equal pay with the NBA players. Even though I think
that, I completely understand that, but still, I feel that even if you have half stadium, it doesn't matter. You should have a full stadium, whether or not every seat's being filled. I don't care. That's not my point. But equal pay.
I
They
know,
deserve
but
it.
you know,
I know.
these
I get
guys
the
in
whole
the
revenue. I know.
NBA,
I know what the whole perspective is, but I agree with everybody else in America. Equal pay is deserved.
yeah, you're right. But I mean, the NBA, these guys, I mean, it seems like everybody's making 40,
Because
45,
it's annoying to say the NBA
$50
because
million dollars.
the reason why I'm saying with the NBA because the NBA they get paid millions of dollars and then they're out injured for about they claim that they're injured what they need resting days. They still get paid the millions of dollars. That's my
Mhm,
perspective. While these women are out there still fighting every single day in day out.
right?
Just want to throw that out there real quick.
No, so we got, like I said, the draft. Like I said, I can't wait for the draft. You know why? Because I can't wait for the to stop talking about it. I mean, we knew this was going on from the day the Super Bowl ended. We've seen nothing but mock drafts and speculation and all kinds of stuff. Well, now we get it
Oh,
done, and then we know who's going where, and then we can talk about what the impact of those drafts could be for the teams that pick the players that they want. So,
absolutely.
but definitely a big draft for Joe Shane and the Giants. It's
No question.
marquee, right? Excuse me. All right, Eli. So we do have some random points that we could talk about, and of course that's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And yeah, I got a bunch that I
I do
kind of
too.
want to bring up. Yeah. So why don't you start, and then in case so we don't have any duplicates.
All right, let's start off with the NFL. Cowboys signed running back Royce Freeman. The Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith agrees to a 3-year, $75 million deal. Colts defensive tackle DeForest Buckner agreed to a 2-year, $46 million deal. Applebee's is now the official bar and grill of the NFL, so expect good deals and promotions throughout the NFL season. Has a good Applebee's fan that I am. Moving right along, a shocker to the MLB. Yankees radio voice John Sterling quits midseason, announces his retirement. More than likely, it's due to illness, but however, it is not confirmed. Jim, I don't know. This is like it came out of a shocker, in my opinion. I don't know where
Well,
to go with this. I'll let you go ahead and say some thoughts before I jump in with that one more in depth.
yeah, and obviously that was certainly a random point of interest for me too. There were two prestigious announcers that retired in the same week. And the John Sterling, they're going to honor him at Yankee Stadium today. Yes, he's 86 years old, so it really has to be some sort of a health concern or something to give up the guy, and he just dropped out right out. It's not like he was going to finish the season and whatnot. So, everybody, even if you go to a game, right, or you're driving in the car and you're listening to the Yankees, either on the way home from the game, if you left early, you heard John Sterling. And, he really was certainly the voice of Yankees radio for, I think, how many years? 36 years?
Something like that, yeah. But
Yeah.
listen, it just to me it comes as a shock. I get if it's an illness, announce it's an illness. That's my perspective. You don't quit mid-season and like that unless it's a big illness. But if you
And
have no illness but just say I want to give up, then don't start the season with it. That's my whole perspective.
yeah, no, he's not that. He has more class than that. So there's an underlying reason for this.
There's a
But
reason that we don't know, but we need to know.
yeah, but they
That's
will
the bottom
honor
line.
him today at Yankee Stadium. And
Yes.
one other notable retirement from the world of broadcasting, and they didn't bring a lot of it up on the Masters, which I was surprised about. But Vern Lundquist
Yes,
is
I forgot about
retiring
that. Yes.
after 40 years calling the Masters. And I know Vern. I've known him, Vern Lundquist, for many years. He used to call NFL games. As a matter of fact, when he used to call games with Terry Bradshaw back in the day,
Yeah.
and they became so close that when Terry Bradshaw was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, he was introduced by Vern Lundquist. So an absolute class act, and I thought they should have given him a little bit more
Respect.
recognition on that
Absolutely.
broadcast because
100%.
I've liked him in everything that he's done, and you could see he's getting up there in age too, walking around with a cane. But you know what? He was always a pivotal part of the Masters, and I wish him the best in retirement.
Yeah. 4 other quick notes I'll bring up real quick. The ESPYs will take place on July 11th at 8 p.m. on ABC. Denver won the National Hockey Championship. Congrats to them. It was a big win for them in a fantastic way.
And
Next
that,
two other
actually, one of our loyal listeners, Jim Walsh, is a diehard Boston College fan. So I feel bad for him that they couldn't close the deal in the Final Four. But that's the 10th championship for the University of Denver, and it all actually came down to one of the great college saves by a goalie in a championship game that preserved the win for Denver, and they did. They hoisted the championship. Yep.
Yeah, see the 2 other notes real quick. Colorado Rockies hitting coach was seen in the cockpit of a United flight during their team flight to Toronto. It is now under federal investigation as it was during mid-flight and the plane was on autopilot. The crew members were suspended. It's under federal investigation. As I get, if you're on the ground, you can do that, but you should not do that while on autopilot in mid-flight. So that is a big investigation story. Shame on the United pilots and shame on the Rockies hitting coach. You have some guts to go in there while on autopilot mid-flight on your way to Toronto, out of all places, not even in the United States. You can't even say, it's a posing threat entering a Canadian water.
Yeah, and I wonder what this is all about. I mean, maybe one of the pilots was friends with this guy. I mean, how obscure a hitting coach from the Colorado Rockies of all people. It's not like Nick Saban got in the,
It's a team flight too. It was just exclusive for the team, but still, I would feel dangerous if I'm on that flight knowing that happened. I get it if you did that in the, when you're grounded on the tarmac, but you don't do that in the mid-flight.
Agreed. That's so nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense, and really was silly.
Also, one more note. Shame on CBS from cutting away from Billy Joel's Piano Man performance during the 100 special. Come on. At least if you're going to cut away to a commercial, you don't do it in the middle of Piano Man during his 100 special. So shame on CBS, and her broke a lot of records yesterday when her Tortured Puppets Department album came out from the music industry.
Who?
You know who.
Taylor Swift?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, Eli. I think you're a closet Swiftie.
I have not listened to one song that came out from her new album, so I just want to clarify that. I have no idea. All I know, it broke many records, and it was all over every national news station you could think of. So, had to throw that out there.
Right.
And Billy Joel.
So
that was horrible.
You're right. You stole my thunder on the hockey. You stole my thunder on John Sterling, but I got a few random points too.
All right, go ahead.
So milestone time in Major League Baseball, and longtime player. He played with the Yankees for a quick stretch too, but he's played majority of his career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Andrew McCutchen hit career home run number 300. So that's a nice milestone for a guy. He's not going to the Hall of Fame, but he's been around for a long time, and that's certainly a great milestone for him. So congratulations.
Absolutely, no question.
And the Mets this week retired Dwight Gooden's number 16. And, when we were talking about the pitchers earlier, you want to talk about hard throwers, and one of the best curveballs of all time was Dwight Gooden. Is the number worthy of retirement? That's the whole thing. I know what's going on with the Mets, right? They're retiring numbers like the Yankees did. And, I don't. Sometimes I just wonder. I mean, he had 4. His rookie season was just amazing. So he pitched a no-hitter with the Yankees, but he says he will always be a Met. I like him. I know he's had off the field troubles for a long time, but his number will never be worn by the New York Met again. So congratulations.
It really was.
And also from the world of hockey was. And I thought this was a really class act for the Philadelphia Flyers, if I can even say that. But Wayne Simmons retired. He came back and retired as a Flyer, played the majority of his career there. And you know what? He was kind of known as an enforcer for sure, but he was also a very good hockey player. Scored over 200 goals in his career, which is nothing to sneeze at in the NHL. But that was nice. They gave him a night for that. I thought it was really a classy moment.
It was a special moment, basically, and it was well deserved.
And also one retirement was Blake Griffin, 13 years. Hard to believe that he was in the league that long. But he also had some injuries, but he came out, right? He was a number one pick, and he was a very good player, but I don't think he ever lived up to the potential that people expected, and whether it was due to injury or not. But
Right.
it was a career. He bounced around a lot at the end. So he had a good career. He's not going to the Hall of Fame, but he was a former number one pick, and he retires from the league.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to give a shout out to my nephew Sean, who's lacrosse player for Ramapo High School, and this is his senior season.
Oh.
And he's gonna go play lacrosse at University of Scranton in the fall. So I just wanted to wish him all the best. Hopefully, I'll have an opportunity to see him. And he played this week. Huh?
I said a lot of people are going to Scranton lately.
Yeah.
One of the basketball players from us. He's going to Scranton for basketball.
Okay, good.
Cool.
Like I said, lacrosse is becoming a very, very popular sport in this country.
It is.
And, when I was in high school, we didn't even have lacrosse teams. So look at how that's developed. But I wish him all the best on this road. And I don't know the result, but I know he did play my beloved St. Joe's this week. So I'll have to find out what the score of that game was. But
let's see. And NJ.com Ramapo.
Yeah, just to see, because you got to play the big guys, right?
You got to play the big guys. I will keep you. Let me get that up, and I will let you know.
Yeah. All right, so that's good on the
Ramapo beat St. Joe's 9-3, the final.
Wow.
And they're currently 5-2, with a game today at 11 o'clock at Mountain Lakes.
Excellent.
They have a big one on the 23rd versus Bergen Catholic. Ooh. They got a good series. That's something.
And I just wanted to let you know that my nephew was also named captain of the lacrosse team. So
very good.
Good luck to him.
Credit. Absolutely.
So Eli, we got listen. Some weeks we do recommendations on books and movies. I'm going to just say this week, because of what's going on, my movie recommendation or my TV recommendation is to watch the NFL draft, at least the first round.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. I just watch everything. Watch all the hockey. Just watch TV.
Absolutely. So, listen, I got a
when
couple.
You're bored from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. That's my.
Jeopardy's been very tough lately. I'm not getting a lot of answers.
I actually got the final the other day. Alphabetical with the states the other day. Thursday question.
I did not get it.
I had Connecticut. I was right about that. And the reason why, I'll give you the little history behind it. You got to think of the 13 colonies, and it was out of the 22 states.
Yep.
And the first one of the 13 was Connecticut. There was no A, there was no B, and that was the first one technically on the map. Right. And everybody said Arkansas. So I'm happy. I was happy I got it right, although I'll never be good on the actual Jeopardy game.
Well, I would expect you to get it right, being that you're a national scholar now.
Oh. Honestly, but yeah. Whatever.
All right, listen. So we got a couple picks before we move on to notable passings. I got a couple of pictures that I wanted to show, and that's me and Arnold Palmer, because last week was Masters Week. Like I said, I had an opportunity to meet him, and he was just as gracious as could be. So I wanted to show that because it was Masters Day. And this one's a little obscured, so the picture, if we could flip it,
I don't think I can flip it. No, I have to.
Okay, but that's Arnold Palmer in 1964 winning his final Masters green jacket. So look at that's what they call Arnie's Army in the background.
Yeah, like looking from the side like this.
Right. Anyway, and I got one other picture. That's my granddaughter, Hayden, who I don't know. She's got a lacrosse stick in her hand, so I don't know how that's going to go. But
learn for the best. Learn for the nephew and crew. You gotta
absolutely, but I think the picture is adorable, and I just wish her. I don't know how she's going to take to it, but anyway, those are my pictures of the week.
All right, good ones.
Okay, Eli. So there's some notable passings, and I'll start off with, and and most of these are from the world of Major League Baseball. Ken Holtzman, 78 years old. He pitched 2 no-hitters with the Chicago Cubs and won 3 world championships with the Oakland A's back in the 70s. He was on that great pitching staff with Vita Blue and so forth. So he was an outstanding pitcher, had a great career. He was 78 years old. From also sticking with baseball, former Yankees pitcher Fritz Peterson passed away at 82. And, he had basically a 500 career, but, he had a decent ERA, 3.3. But the odd thing is, and this is a bizarre story, and it really, really happened, he had a teammate, Mike Kekich, on that team, and they actually switched families. They switched wives and they switched children. And Fritz Peterson was married to Mike Kekich's wife until he died, and the other one didn't work out. But that was a strange story when that came out in Major League Baseball in the early 70s. But yeah. Fritz Peterson, 82, good pitcher. Whitey Herzog, former longtime manager of both the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. He won a World Series title in 1982 with the Cardinals. Got him there a couple more times. They couldn't win it. But Whitey Herzog was a baseball guy. And, I remember watching him, manage that Cardinals team to that championship. And, he was quite a personality as well. He was 92 years old.
Okay.
And also, this is one other one. Carl Erskine, former Dodgers pitcher, 97 years old. And Carl Erskine pitched a no-hitter in 1956. And he was a member of the Brooklyn Dodgers World Series championship team in 1955. Played 11 years for the Dodgers, and he was one of those beloved figures back then. And he was 97. And like I said, he was part of very good Brooklyn Dodgers teams. Excuse me, but they only won world championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have two of them.
Finally, from the world of entertainment, and this is big because I've had an opportunity to see him a few times, was Dickie Betts, was a guitarist for the Allman Brothers Band, and he was 80 years old. And I had an opportunity to see the Allman Brothers back in 1981. God, I'm really dating myself here, Eli. But
oh boy!
But I did get a chance to see him like front row, and he was just a great musician and one of the most underrated bands of all time. But Dickie Betts was 80 years old.
All right. Two other notable passings for me that I brought up. New Jersey Devils scout Glenn Derrick, who just completed his 29th season with the Devils, has just passed away. He was born in 1938. And finally, the voice of the NHL on TNT Opens and Promos, Gabe Patillo, has died this week. He was born in 1981, has been a big part of the Warner Brothers TNT community.
Wow. Okay. And we always hate to bring it up, but those, these are
you want to respect and honor them in a special way.
That's absolutely right. So, listen, Eli, we packed a lot of stuff into today.
Yeah.
But I'm be happy to be on your show this week. And again,
I cannot wait.
So we're gonna have the Eli's draft preview show, and we'd love to hear comments from you. Give us your draft picks if you want. You send us an email or post a comment.
Send it to the email, and we will bring it on hopefully during Sports Mono.
Absolutely.
And also during on the podcast too. I'll be happy to bring it up before as a pregame as well.
Yep. So we covered a lot of stuff, and again, thanks to all the St. Joe's for hosting us last week. And
yes, and I want to thank everybody. It was a fantastic. Special thanks to Coach Nigel Archibald from St. Mary's for joining the show. It was a fantastic interview, one of the best we had in a while. Also want to thank Andrew from our special guest joining us as well as Jack, Bobby for producing along with myself. It has been a fantastic show, and we cannot wait to do many more road shows in the future.
Good. And I'm looking forward to watching your show and being part of your show for a little bit.
Yes.
But it's draft week, but everybody settle in. If it's raining, good day to stay in and watch NBA and NHL playoffs and baseball, whatever your flavor of the month is. So
Yes, indeed.
thanks again for everybody for joining us. And Eli,
We will
you
see you
have
next week.
yourself a good week. And
You too.
looking forward to joining you on Thursday.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys.